They seek to establish systems of government based on the regimentation of all human beings by a handful of individual rulers who seize power by force. Yes, these men and their hypnotized followers call this a new order. It is not new, and it is not order.
Global resistance. Where's my motherfucking soldiers at? It's time to strap up and go to war, motherfucker. We're gonna bring it right to the motherfucking front line.
It's like we're living in a cage with invisible walls. The wicked zeitgeist of life making grown men crawl on their knees begging please save us from the boogeymen funded by the CIA, funneled through Arabian banks. Like a shank to the neck, they hit you from the back, no sweat. Hold check and watch us shake and take away your freedom. You really don't need them when you're tucked away safe and protected by FEMA. Then you must be a dreamer like the great pretender. Ask the Second Amendment, why I'll never surrender, but I'll never plead the Fifth. When it comes to September, I'ma yell it from the roof and expose the agenda. It's time to wake up and open your eyes to the matrix. This is going out to the truthers and patriots, living free and dying hard, speaking through battle.
I think you could see very clearly what's going on here. These folks ain't showing love to the Texas Longhorns.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. You know, we become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people. Now, I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
1976, Korean Airlines 747 was shot down by the Soviet Union. On board was Congressman Larry P. McDonald, a federal congressman. I remember when that happened. Anybody here remember when that happened? Here's what that congressman said before he died. He said the drive of the Rockefellers and their allies is to create a one-world government combining supercapitalism and communism under the same tent, all under their control. Do I mean conspiracy? Yes, I do. I'm convinced there's such a plot, international in scope, generations old in planning, and incredibly evil in intent. Larry McDonald. He paid for it with his life. Do you know why he did? Let me tell you why he did. Because he was in a position to where he could do something. This little old Baptist preacher over here on Woodrow Drive, they don't care how much I rant and rave. I have no authority or no power in Washington, D.C., but this man did. This man was a voice that people would listen to, and he paid for it with his life. Will these people kill you? Will the one world will kill you? Anybody that will jerk a little living baby out of its mother's womb will cut your throat in a heartbeat. Don't ever let them come across as if they are compassionate, loving, graceful people. Hogwash. These are cold-blooded murderers. I'm still not satisfied who killed 3,000 people up there in New York City. Still not. Still not. 3,000 of our fellow citizens died up there in New York City.
These diplomats, journalists, trade missions and so forth do not have, very few members do not have an espionage role here in this country. They have never wavered from their objective of world domination.
Congressman Lawrence McDonald has been an outspoken advocate of improved national security, and he has devoted hundreds of pages in the Congressional Record to documenting the internal threat of espionage, subversion, and terrorism.
Yes, we are at war. Very definitely. We have been at war. It's an economic war. It's a war of subversion. It's a war of espionage. It's a war of ideas, and it's a war of terrorism and infiltration.
Is it as serious a war as it would be if there was an exchange of nuclear weapons?
No, the type of war we are in is far more sophisticated than an exchange of gunfire or nuclear weapons even, because it's a war of attack upon institutions. It's a war of an attack upon every segment of a society. It is total war. Many of the laws have been eroded by Supreme Court decisions, by reinterpretations of the Supreme Court. At the same time, the Congress has not fulfilled its function of oversight. The House Internal Security Committee was disbanded by a parliamentary maneuver in early 1975. The Senate Internal Security Subcommittee has just recently been reestablished in an abbreviated form. The Attorney General's list of subversives is no longer used in hiring for government positions. You have the Internal Security Division of the Justice Department has been abolished. You have the Subversive Activities Control Board has been abolished. You have the intelligence units of metropolitan police forces have either been abolished, sometimes with files turned over to revolutionary groups, or in fully neutralized and no longer effective. We've seen the counterintelligence units of the Army, Navy, and Air Force no longer active at the local or in the domestic scene. So the layers of protection that we had perhaps just 10 years ago today have been stripped away. It's necessary to start rebuilding those layers.
A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. Here are the aims for the United States. 1, greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. 2, higher and then much higher taxes. 3, an increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. 4, wild inflation of our currency. 5, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. 6, greatly increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and every activity of our daily lives. This is to be accompanied, naturally and automatically, by a correspondingly huge increase in the size of our bureaucracy and in both the cost and reach of our domestic government. 7, far more centralization of power in Washington and the practical elimination of our state lines. There is a many-faceted drive at work to have our state lines eventually mean no more within the nation than our county lines do now within the states. 8, the steady advance of federal aid to and control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of our public education. 9, a constant hammering into the American consciousness of the horror of modern warfare, the beauties and the absolute necessity of peace. Peace always on communist terms, of course. And 10, the consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world and of the United States itself. So brush the insider's dust.
They're not showing love to rock and roll. They're showing love to Satan. And I think anybody, I'll give them, I'll say 15. Anybody over the age of 15 knows damn well what that means. If you do that shit around me, it'll be 2 less fingers that you'll have. But folks, these people don't know each other, and it's the most influential people in the world. Isn't that right, Em? So, and look at them all. Look at, folks, the fucking Pope. Come on. Man of God? Folks, if you're following this man, you better follow God somewhere else. He's praying to the wrong God. How about his fucking speech? First speech ever in history the Pope gave in the United States. And when he was in Philadelphia, there was, up on that stage, there was a huge fucking eyeball right behind him. Nah, that's just a coincidence though. Look what these cocks did to my beloved Empire State Building. I will never again go into that building. Anywhere's near it. This is the idea they came up with. I mean, folks, you don't have to tell the difference here, do you? Hello? I'm fucking crazy? It's not the first year they did it. And they do it on all sorts of buildings like this all over the world. This is the fucking demon that they seen come through CERN. If you don't know what CERN is, you're way behind. ThirdEyeVision.com. Check. Damn, just look. Folks. Folks. What the fuckity fuck? They're all on the same team. This team. And it ain't the Texas Longhorns. You know who else you see showing this sign? Well, let's see, we got rappers, we got the Pope, we've got singers, presidents, I mean, you know. celebrities, people in power. Now, speaking of these scumbags, anytime you come across somebody that isn't a part of these fucking slime balls, you better stick to them like glue, which is what I do. And that's right. And you know, I was gonna say, fuck it, I'm not gonna, you know, hate on good music, but no, fuck that, I am gonna hate on good music, cause I ain't listened to Jay-Z in years. Okay, fucking loved him, and you know, found out about the Satanist shit and everything through DMX, and I haven't listened to one of his songs in years, nor anybody else Illuminati, unless it's a metal alternative band. They're kind of hard to get away from for me at the moment. Jay-Z quit his ass cold turkey, and I was gonna be like, I'm gonna just listen to his songs anyway, it's just a damn song, and I know what it means, and then I thought, yeah, you know what it means, you know what it is, you know what you're promoting, so no, I'm not gonna listen to it, just because it's got a fat beat. I'll go and get a fat beat somewhere else. I'll take that beat and have somebody else rap over it. Fuck Jay-Z. Keep your kids away from this shit. Because whether or not they know what they're doing, the fucking demons that are all around you right now, they see it. And they have a different interpretation of it. And it's just what they're waiting for. They're waiting for an invitation. Capiche? You may notice as well, president from every single nation, Iran, United States, Russia, Putin, the Chinese, all of them, giving the little horn. Like I always tell you folks, they're all in on it together. This isn't country versus country, this is governments versus citizens. They're just playing the card to let you think that it's not government versus citizens, it's government versus government. I guess that's why the US military has been training Russian, Chinese, German, and a bunch of other foreign troops in this country for the past several years. Training them for what? Why are our troops training foreign countries to do anything? The only reason you would do that, hello, world order. I gotta get these slime balls off my screen now. That was quick. Folks, everything is a cult. A cult just means hidden. Now, maybe, is everything a deception? I mean, for me, it's starting to seem like that. You don't know what to believe in. But I know the facts. I don't cover shit unless I got them. And, it's just way too many for certain things. And on the mountain, folks might want to check some of this out. This is over on JesusPrecious.org. It's under false religion section. Which leads us over to here. GodInANutshell.com. This is Trey Smith's site. Awesome site, man. If you haven't seen Trey Smith's videos, you are missing out on incredible shit. Believe you me. And so you know, I will be posting some Trey Smith. It may seem boring. I assure you it's not. They didn't teach you this shit in school. Yeah, these two, highly suggested, and highly suggested. The other ones are good too. It's got a lot. Dinosaur prints next to human footprints. How about a footprint big enough for a 25-foot person? Yeah. Perfect timing. God bless and carry on.